The first contact with the Valorans was nothing short of extraordinary. Humanity had been exploring the outer edges of the solar system, pushing beyond known territories with cautious optimism. For years, Earth's scientists and diplomats had hoped for signs of other intelligent life, but most of what they found were abandoned colonies or planets too harsh for sustained existence. Then, one day, a strange signal appeared on long-range scanners, an intricate pattern of pulses unlike anything natural. It was a call, deliberate and unmistakable. Commander Lena Ortiz stood on the bridge of the Starship Odyssey, watching the alien transmission unfold on her display. The signal was complex, layered with multiple frequencies and codes. She exchanged a glance with her second-in-command, Captain Rajiv Patel, whose calm demeanor belied the excitement rippling through the crew. "Begin decryption protocols," Lena ordered, her voice steady. The ship's AI worked tirelessly, breaking down the alien message piece by piece. Hours later, the meaning became clear. It was a greeting, an invitation. A scout team was dispatched to the signal's origin, a planet called Valora, located in a nearby star system. As the Odyssey approached, its crew prepared for first contact, with beings unlike any humanity had known. The planet was breathtaking. Vast forests stretched across continents, their trees towering and glowing faintly under Valora's twin suns. The air shimmered with a strange energy, and the ground vibrated with a deep hum. A living planet in every sense. Then the Valorans appeared. Tall and muscular, with wolf-like features and piercing eyes, the Valorans moved with grace and strength. Their silver fur caught the sunlight, and their expressions carried wisdom and kindness. They were unlike any species humanity had encountered, but their gestures were open, peaceful. Leading the Valoran delegation was Kalen, a warrior and diplomat, whose voice carried the weight of his people. He stepped forward, bowing slightly. "We have watched the stars and sensed your approach," Kalen said through the universal translator. "We seek friendship, strength through unity." Humanity's representatives returned the gesture with equal respect. Over the following weeks, the two species exchanged knowledge, culture, and stories. The Valorans shared their history of ancient battles, honor codes, and their deep connection to nature and the cosmos. Humans spoke of Earth's struggles and hopes for the future. It quickly became clear that this alliance would be more than symbolic. Valorans possessed technology and combat skills that complemented humanity's ingenuity and resilience. Joint training exercises began, blending human adaptability with Valoran discipline. They built shared stations and defense outposts on neutral moons, demonstrating their commitment to each other's survival. The alliance sparked a wave of hope across human colonies scattered in the stars. Where once humanity had felt isolated and vulnerable, now they stood with a proud and powerful partner. Trade routes opened, scientific discoveries accelerated, and cultural exchanges enriched both civilizations. Yet despite this bright beginning, a shadow lingered. In the background, subtle signs of unease emerged. The Valorans grew more watchful, their patrols extending deeper into space. Some of their scouts reported strange signals and unidentified ships lurking near their borders. Lena and Kalen often discussed these developments during long strategy sessions, each determined to protect the alliance they had forged. "Trust is our greatest weapon," Kalen reminded her one evening as they studied star charts. "But vigilance is the shield," Lena nodded, "and we will stand guard together." As the two leaders stood side by side, gazing at the endless stars, neither could predict how soon their alliance would be tested. For beyond Valora's light, a storm was gathering, one that would shake the very foundations of their newfound friendship. But for now, humanity and the Valorans celebrated a rare victory. Hope. Hope that together they could face whatever the universe would throw at them. Hope that the stars they shared would witness not war, but unity. And so, with hands joined across species, they stepped into the future, a future born from courage, respect, and the unbreakable bond of allies. The weeks after the initial contact felt like the dawn of a new era. Ships moved freely between Earth and Valora, shared technology was refined, and joint patrols maintained peace along key trade routes. But beneath the surface of this harmony, subtle tensions began to stir, like whispers in a quiet room that no one wanted to hear. Commander Lena Ortiz sat in the bustling command center aboard the Odyssey, reviewing the latest reports from Valoran, border scouts. Their findings were puzzling: unexplained sensor blips, strange energy readings, and fleeting glimpses of unknown vessels appearing and vanishing near Valoran space. No one could identify the ships or their origin. Could be a glitch in the sensors, suggested Lieutenant Chen, attempting to ease the room's growing concern. Kalen, who had joined the meeting remotely from Valora's capital, shook his head. This is no ordinary interference. Our scouts describe movements consistent with tactical reconnaissance, fast, silent, and calculated. Lena's eyes narrowed. We need to increase patrols immediately and investigate quietly. We can't afford to panic the colonies. Kalen agreed. Agreed. But we must also be cautious. If there is an enemy observing us, revealing our awareness too soon could provoke an attack. For days, both sides worked to tighten security without alarming the public. Joint surveillance teams combed through the outer regions of Valoran space. Yet the unknown ships remained elusive, their appearances brief, and their intentions unclear. Meanwhile, political factions within the Valoran Council began to voice doubts about humanity's involvement. Some elders feared that Earth's rapid expansion and aggressive technology might bring more harm than help. Rumors spread that certain Valoran nobles opposed the alliance, seeing it as a threat to their ancient traditions. Lena was troubled by these developments. She met with Kalen in person at the orbital station overlooking Valora's shimmering forests. The atmosphere was tense but respectful. Your people seem divided, she said carefully. Are there risks of internal conflict? Kalen sighed. Change is never easy for us, but our strength lies in unity. I will do everything to keep that bond intact. We cannot afford distrust, especially now. As they spoke, an urgent message arrived. A remote Valoran outpost reported an attack, small, swift, and brutal. A group of unknown assailants had destroyed communications and seized the station briefly before retreating without a trace. The news hit like a shockwave. The Alliance was no longer just under threat from the shadows. The enemy had begun to strike. Directly, emergency meetings convened across Earth and Valora. Military commanders devised new strategies, and scientists accelerated defensive projects. Yet the identity of the attackers remained a mystery. No known enemy claimed responsibility. Lena felt the weight of responsibility deepen. This was not a random raid. Someone wants to destabilize us. Kalen's expression hardened. We must root out the traitors within and prepare for the worst. In the days that followed, more incidents occurred. Sabotage of supply ships, ambushes on scouting parties, and encrypted messages intercepted hinting at a vast conspiracy. Slowly, a terrifying picture emerged. An alliance of alien factions, threatened by the growing human-Valoran bond, was working to tear them apart. Lena and Kalen grew closer in their shared determination. They spent long hours discussing plans, their respect for one another growing beyond duty. They knew the coming fight would not be easy, but they also understood that surrender was not an option. One night, as the twin moons of Valora cast a soft glow over the planet's surface, Lena stood beside Kalen on a balcony overlooking the capital city. "Have you ever doubted us?" she asked quietly. Kalen looked out into the horizon. "At times, but hope is stronger than fear. If we trust each other, we can overcome anything." Lena nodded. "Then we fight. For our peoples, for our future. The alliance is fragile, Peace was hanging by a thread. Whispers of betrayal echoed through the stars, but the bond between humanity and the Valorans held firm, for now. Far away, hidden eyes watched and waited. The real storm was coming. The warning signs had grown impossible to ignore. For weeks, fleets patrolled the outer edges of Valoran space with increased vigilance, scanning for any sign of the unknown enemy. Yet the elusive ships seemed to vanish whenever they were close to detection. Commanders on both sides sensed an approaching darkness, but hoped to avoid it, clinging to the fragile hope that conflict could still be prevented. Then, without warning, the storm broke. It began with a series of seemingly isolated incidents. Communications outposts went dark. Recon vessels reported sudden power failures. Supply convoys disappeared along routine routes. Panic rippled through the Alliance's forces, but no one yet understood the scale of what was unfolding. Lena was aboard the Odyssey, en route to Valora's capital to meet with Kalen and the Valoran High Council. Her ship's AI interrupted, the usual quiet with an urgent alert. Multiple unknown vessels had launched a coordinated strike on Valoran orbital defenses. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Red lights flashed as alarms blared. "Status report," Lena demanded, her voice steady but tense. "Enemy ships are using stealth technology. They're striking simultaneously at key defensive satellites and command nodes," reported Lieutenant Chen. "Shields are failing in several sectors." Kalen's voice crackled over comms, tight with urgency. "This is an all-out assault. The capital's defenses are overwhelmed." Lena's heart clenched. She had never imagined the Valorans would face such devastation so soon. The enemy struck, with ruthless precision. Their ships, unlike anything the Alliance had seen, moved silently through space, phasing through detection fields and bypassing security protocols. They tore through orbital defenses, disabling weapons platforms and communication relays one by one. On the surface of Valora, citizens looked up to see skies darkening as energy blasts tore through the heavens. Evacuation sirens blared, and people scrambled for shelter. Kalen rallied his warriors, their lupine features fierce with determination. "We fight for our home, for our future." But the assault was merciless. The enemy's focus was clear. Crush Valora's heart and shatter the Alliance before humanity could respond. Lena ordered the Odyssey to engage, firing ion pulses at attacking vessels, but her ship was outnumbered and outmatched. Fleet commanders scrambled to organize reinforcements, but the enemy's strike was swift and overwhelming. As the capital's orbital defenses fell, the invaders deployed ground forces, advanced mechanized units and shadowy operatives designed for rapid strikes. Cities burned. Vital infrastructure collapsed. Thousands of Valorans were lost within hours. The massacre left the Alliance reeling. Lena, Kalen, and their teams worked frantically to evacuate survivors and mount a counteroffensive, but the cost was staggering. In the midst of the chaos, Lena received a transmission that chilled her to the bone, a garbled message intercepted from enemy communications. "Destroy the Alliance. Leave no survivors." No further explanation. No mercy. When the assault finally ended, Valora was a shattered world. The capital lay in ruins. Entire fleets were lost. The Valorans had been betrayed by enemies who had hidden in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Lena sat alone in the quiet of the Odyssey's command room, the weight of failure pressing down on her. The Alliance had been strong, but they had been caught off guard. Kalen joined her, his usual strength tempered by grief. "We underestimated them. But this is not the end." She met his eyes, feeling the fierce loyalty that had first drawn them together. "We will make them pay for this, every one of them." The loss of the Valorans shook humanity deeply. News of the massacre spread across Earth's colonies, igniting a firestorm of grief and anger. The Alliance's survivors became refugees, their cries for justice echoing through every world. But amidst the devastation, a new resolve took hold. Humanity would not stand idly by while their allies were destroyed. The massacre had sparked something primal, a ruthless determination to retaliate, to hunt down those responsible, and to ensure such betrayal would never happen again. Lena's voice carried a promise. We fight, not just for Valora, but for every life they gave for us. Across the galaxy, that promise spread. What had begun as an alliance born of hope now transformed into a crusade fueled by loss and vengeance. The silent storm had passed, but its fury was only just beginning. The smoke of Valora's ruins still hung heavy in the atmosphere when Earth's intelligence teams sprang into action. The massacre had shattered more than cities. It had shaken the very foundations of the Alliance and challenged humanity's understanding of the enemy they faced. Commander Lena Ortiz oversaw the operation from Earth's command center, a vast complex filled with blinking consoles and streaming data. Around her, analysts sifted through debris transmissions, intercepted communications, and fragmented sensor logs in search of answers. We need to know who orchestrated this, Lena said firmly. We can't respond until we understand what we're dealing with. Her deputy, Captain Rajiv Patel, nodded. We've decrypted partial enemy chatter. They're calling themselves the Obsidian Collective. They operate in secret, moving between systems with stealth and precision. Lena frowned. Obsidian Collective? No known faction matches that name. That's the problem, Rajiv replied. We believe they're a coalition of alien groups united by fear and hatred of human expansion and Valoran strength. Meanwhile, covert teams were dispatched to Valora's surface and neighboring systems to recover data from wreckage and capture any surviving enemies. These teams faced hostile terrain, rogue elements, and deep suspicion from local populations. The Valorans who remained were wary but grateful for the human support. In a hidden bunker beneath Valora's capital, Lena met with Kalen and the few surviving members of the Valoran Council. The room was dimly lit, walls scarred by battle. Kalen's eyes reflected both sorrow and fierce determination. We have uncovered traitors within our own ranks, Kalen revealed. Some noble houses secretly sided with the Obsidian Collective, betraying their people for promises of power. Lena's jaw tightened. Internal betrayal. That explains the precision of the attack. Kalen nodded. They sabotaged our defenses from within, ensuring the enemy's success. Together, the humans and Valorans pored over lists of suspects, intercepted messages, and testimonies from captured conspirators. The picture grew clearer. The Obsidian Collective had infiltrated Valoran politics, sowing discord and weakening the alliance before striking. Lena's mind raced. If the Collective has insiders, how deep does their influence go? Could Earth have been compromised? Kalen's voice was resolute. Our bonds are strong, but we must remain vigilant. This enemy hides in shadows. Trust is our shield. Back. On Earth, political leaders demanded swift action. Citizens mourned the loss of the Valorans and called for justice. Scientists pushed to develop new technologies, cloaking devices, advanced AI fighters, and faster communication arrays to prepare for the coming fight. At the same time, diplomats reached out to other alien species who had suffered under the Obsidian Collective's rule. Slowly, a coalition of resistance began to form, united by a shared desire to end the tyranny threatening the galaxy. But the complexity of the threat was daunting. The Obsidian Collective was not just a military force, it was a network of spies, saboteurs, and secret manipulators. Its reach extended far beyond what anyone had imagined. Lena led a covert operation to infiltrate an obsidian stronghold on a distant moon. Her team moved through underground tunnels, evading patrols and hacking security systems. Inside, they found data caches revealing plans for further attacks and detailed records of the Collective's agents embedded in various governments and organizations. As they escaped under fire, Lena realized the true scale of the battle ahead. Back. In the war room, she addressed her commanders. This war will be fought on many fronts: military, intelligence, and diplomacy. We cannot afford mistakes. Kalen stood beside her, his presence a steady reminder of their shared mission. We fight not only for Valora's future, but for all who seek freedom. The Alliance's losses were deep, but so was their determination. With every secret uncovered and every enemy exposed, humanity and the Valorans took one step closer to turning the tide. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, but the full picture was still hidden in darkness. Lena stared out at the stars, her resolve hardening. The path ahead would be difficult, but failure was not an option. The memory of the Valorans lost would fuel humanity's relentless pursuit of justice. And when the time came, the Obsidian Collective would learn the true meaning of retaliation. The loss of Valora had ignited a fire within humanity, a flame that refused to be extinguished. In the halls of Earth's military command, every leader, soldier, and scientist felt the weight of their duty sharpened by grief and a fierce promise. Justice would be served. Commander Lena Ortiz stood before a large holographic display mapping the known territories and movements of the Obsidian Collective. Around her, the room buzzed with activity. Engineers discussed weapon prototypes, tacticians refined battle strategies, and diplomats coordinated with newly allied species. "This is more than a military campaign," Lena said, her voice carrying steady authority. "It is a fight for survival, for honor, and for the future we promised the Valorans. We owe them nothing less." General Malik, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, nodded in agreement. "Our scientists have accelerated development on the Aegis defense systems. These will protect our fleets from the stealth attacks that caught Valora off guard." In labs across the solar system, innovations sparked rapidly. Energy shields shimmered stronger than ever. Adaptive AI systems predicted enemy maneuvers with uncanny accuracy, and new plasma-based weaponry offered unmatched precision. The rapid pace of advancement was fueled not only by necessity, but by the unity of a people determined to never lose again. Soldiers trained harder, pushing their limits under the guidance of Valoran veterans who had survived the massacre. There, lupine discipline and combat expertise melded with human adaptability, creating a new breed of warrior, fearless, relentless, and deeply loyal to the cause. Lena visited one such training camp, watching recruits engage in simulations designed to replicate Obsidian tactics. The human soldiers moved with determination, learning to anticipate sudden strikes and counter with swift precision. A young recruit, Mira, caught Lena's eye. Her expression was fierce, a fire burning bright. "We're ready," Mira said simply. "We won't let the Valorans down." Lena smiled, feeling hope rise. "Good, because soon the fight will be in their territory." Beyond training and technology, diplomacy took on a new urgency. Envoys traveled to distant worlds, inviting those oppressed by the Obsidian Collective to join the growing alliance. Each new member brought unique strengths, scientific knowledge, tactical support, or crucial intelligence. One evening, Lena attended a summit with representatives from a recently liberated star system. Their leader, a tall alien named Zaltor, spoke of years spent under the Collective's rule. "When we saw the human and Valoran fleets take a stand, we found courage," Zaltor said. "Together, we are stronger. Together, we will end this." The words echoed throughout the room, a rallying cry for the struggle ahead. But even as hope blossomed, the shadow of the Obsidian Collective loomed large. Their attacks grew more desperate and unpredictable, striking at supply lines, communication hubs, and civilian outposts. The enemy adapted quickly, testing humanity's new defenses and probing for weaknesses. Lena understood that victory would not come easily. The battle required more than strength. It demanded patience, intelligence, and unshakable resolve. In quiet moments, she reflected on the Valorans lost, on Kaelin's words about trust and unity. Their sacrifice was a beacon guiding her through the darkest hours. One night, as the Yadai stars glittered outside her quarters, Lena spoke into the comms. "Kaelin, how do you bear the weight of loss?" There was a brief pause before his voice replied, calm and steady. "By remembering what we fight for, our people, our friends, and the promise of a better tomorrow. Then we fight," Lena said, "not just for revenge, but for hope." The Alliance's forces prepared for the next phase, an offensive to reclaim lost worlds and cut into the heart of the Obsidian Collective's territory. Fleet admirals reviewed battle plans designed to outmaneuver and outsmart the enemy, combining human ingenuity and Valoran strategy. As the final briefings ended, Lena looked out at the stars once more. The flames of determination burned bright, in every corner of humanity and its allies. They would not falter. They would not fail. The massacre of the Valorans had sparked a new chapter, a story of courage, unity, and relentless pursuit of justice. The battle for the galaxy was just beginning. The dawn over Earth's main fleet command was quiet, but charged with an electric tension. Years of loss, sacrifice, and preparation had led to this moment. The Alliance's combined forces, the best humans, Valorans, and new allies, stood ready to strike back at the Obsidian Collective's strongholds. Retribution was no longer a distant hope. It was an imminent reality. Commander Lena Ortiz stood on the bridge of the flagship Odyssey, surrounded by screens flickering with star maps and fleet movements. The vast armada assembled before them was a testament to unity and resolve. Over 200 warships, from sleek human cruisers to massive Valoran dreadnoughts, each vessel bristling with advanced weaponry. Beside her, Kaelin's presence was a steadying force. His lupine features were set in fierce determination, eyes burning with the memory of Valora's fall and the promise of justice. "Today, we strike at the heart," Lena said. "We reclaim what was lost and show the Obsidian Collective the price of betrayal." The plan was precise. The fleet would launch a coordinated assault on Obsidian command hubs located in a cluster of asteroid fields and moon bases deep within contested space. These strongholds were heavily fortified, but intelligence gathered over months had revealed vulnerabilities, weak points where swift, decisive action could break their control. As the fleet entered the target system, tension tightened like a wire. Space was eerily silent, broken only by the low hum of engines and the steady cadence of communication channels. Suddenly, the enemy struck. Obsidian warships emerged from concealed positions, their dark hulls reflecting the cold light of distant stars. They moved with deadly speed, launching waves of plasma torpedoes and cloaked fighters that darted in and out of sensor range. The battle erupted in a spectacular clash of firepower and strategy. Human and Valoran pilots flew in tight formations, their maneuvers precise and deadly. New AI-controlled drones zipped through the chaos, targeting enemy ships with pinpoint accuracy. Lena coordinated strikes from the flagship, issuing orders to engage, retreat, or shield vulnerable vessels. Kaelin led a squadron of Valoran warriors, their fierce howls cutting through the radio static as they charged into battle with unmatched ferocity. Despite the enemy's fierce resistance, the Alliance's superior tactics and technology began to turn the tide. Strategic missile barrages crippled Obsidian defenses, and boarding teams seized key stations aboard enemy vessels. The asteroid bases, once thought impregnable, fell one by one. But the fight was far from over. As the fleet closed in on the central command station, an unexpected wave of reinforcements arrived. Obsidian reinforcements faster and more aggressive than anticipated. The battle intensified, pushing the Alliance's forces to their limits. Several ships took heavy damage, and casualties mounted. Lena's voice remained calm but urgent as she coordinated rescue and repair efforts amid the chaos. "We cannot let them regroup," she urged. "Push forward! Every moment counts!" At a critical moment, Kalen's squadron executed a daring assault on the command station's main control hub. The fight inside was brutal, a close-quarters battle where every strike counted. But Valoran, warriors and human marines fought side by side, breaking through enemy defenses and securing control. With the command station compromised, the Obsidian fleet began to falter. Their coordinated attacks broke apart, leaving isolated ships vulnerable to the Alliance's counterattacks. Finally, after hours of relentless combat, the flagship Odyssey delivered the final blow, a concentrated plasma strike that shattered the command station's core. Silence returned to the battlefield. Lena exhaled, relief and triumph mingling in her chest. "We did it," she said softly. Kalen nodded, though his eyes were somber. "This is but one victory. The collective's reach is vast, and their hatred runs deep." Lena met his gaze. "Then we keep fighting. For every Valoran lost. For every world under threat, we will not rest until the Obsidian Collective is no more." The fleet regrouped and prepared for the next phase of the campaign, bolstered by the hard-won victory, but aware of the long road ahead. News of the battle spread quickly through the galaxy, reigniting hope among oppressed worlds and sending a clear message to the Obsidian Collective. The Alliance was no longer on the defensive. The flames of retribution had dawned, and they burned brighter than ever. Back aboard the Odyssey, Lena and Kalen stood side by side, watching the stars stretch out before them. The past was filled with loss and pain, but the future shimmered with possibility. A future they would fight for, no matter the cost. The silent storm had passed. The war was now fully unleashed, and humanity's ruthless retaliation had begun. The victory at the Obsidian Command Station was a turning point, one that shifted the balance of power in the galaxy's brutal conflict. Across the Alliance, hope surged. The Valorans and humans, along with their newfound allies, pressed forward with renewed vigor, emboldened by their success. Commander Lena Ortiz stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, watching as the fleet navigated through dense asteroid fields toward their next objective. The mission: to liberate a cluster of star systems under Obsidian occupation, critical to severing the enemy's supply lines and weakening their grasp on the region. "The Obsidian Collective is regrouping," Lena said, eyes sharp as data scrolled across the main display. "But they're fractured. Their communications are fragmented and internal tensions are rising. They know we've struck a blow." Kalen, standing beside her, nodded thoughtfully. "Their unity was never truly strong. Fear and suspicion have poisoned their ranks. Our victories have exposed their weaknesses." In the months since the first assault, the Alliance had grown stronger and more coordinated. Intelligence shared among species revealed Obsidian agents embedded in numerous systems, but also revealed potential allies ready to rise up and resist. On one such planet, a Valoran refugee settlement nestled beneath towering alien trees, a new force was assembling. Survivors of the Massacre trained side by side with human soldiers, sharing tactics and stories of loss and hope. The fire of resistance burned brightly in every eye. Lena visited the settlement briefly during a supply run, moved by the determination she saw. A young Valoran scout named Riel approached her, voice steady despite the scars of battle. "We fight because we must," Riel said. "Because the Obsidian Collective took everything from us. Now, we take it back." The words echoed Lena's own resolve, "And we'll stand with you until the last star is free." Back aboard the Odyssey, the fleet prepared for a series of coordinated strikes against key Obsidian strongholds. Each assault was designed not just to defeat the enemy militarily, but to inspire rebellion among occupied worlds. Propaganda broadcasts, covert missions, and sabotage efforts worked alongside conventional attacks. The tide of battle shifted rapidly. Obsidian forces found themselves stretched thin, forced to defend multiple fronts against an enemy growing bolder and more relentless. During a particularly fierce engagement near a resource-rich moon, the Alliance faced one of the Collective's deadliest commanders, a ruthless tactician known only as Vrax. His fleet was well-equipped and experienced, and his attacks nearly broke the Alliance's advance. Lena's strategic acumen and Kalen's battlefield leadership were tested to their limits. The fight was brutal, the cost high, but ultimately, Vrax's forces were defeated. Captured data from his flagship revealed further fractures within the Collective's hierarchy and plans for their ultimate weapon, a devastating weapon of mass destruction hidden deep in their core worlds. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance. Preventing the deployment of that weapon became the new top priority. Despite the mounting challenges, morale remained high. Each victory, each liberated world, was a reminder that the Obsidian Collective was not invincible. On the diplomatic front, new alliances formed as more species rejected the Collective's oppressive reign. Shared intelligence and resources bolstered the Alliance's capabilities, turning isolated pockets of resistance into a galaxy-wide movement. Lena and Kalen's bond deepened amid the war's relentless demands. They understood the sacrifices each had made and the burden of leadership they shared. Together, they inspired not just their troops, but entire worlds to believe in the possibility of freedom. As the fleet approached the outer defenses of the Collective's core worlds, Lena issued a message to all Alliance forces. "This is our moment," she said. "The storm we faced was fierce, but together we have weathered it. Now we take the fight to the heart of darkness. For every life lost, for every world shattered, we will prevail." The fleet's engines flared as they surged forward, breaking through enemy lines and igniting the fires of rebellion across the galaxy. The turning tide was here. The Alliance was no longer just fighting for survival. It was fighting for victory, and the Obsidian Collective's days were numbered. The galaxy held its breath as the Alliance's fleet approached the Obsidian Collective's home system, the dark heart of their empire. It was here, amid the dense rings of a dying star, that the final battle would decide the fate of countless worlds. Commander Lena Ortiz stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, the flagship leading the charge. Around her, the hum of activity was intense but focused. Every crew member knew what was at stake. The weight of years of loss, sacrifice, and hard-fought victories pressed on their shoulders. Kalen, ever steady at her side, met her gaze. "This is the last stand. Our honor, our future, it all comes down to this," Lena nodded, feeling the flame of determination burning hotter than ever. "For the Valorans, for humanity, for all who stand with us." The Obsidian Collective had prepared their defenses meticulously. Massive orbital weapon platforms bristled with firepower, and squadrons of cloaked fighters darted through the shadowed void. Deep within the planet's core, the secret weapon Lena's forces had uncovered waited, an engine of destruction that could annihilate entire systems. The Alliance's plan was daring, a multi-pronged assault aimed at crippling the defenses, disabling the weapon, and capturing or destroying the Collective's leadership. As the battle erupted, the Odyssey launched waves of fighter squadrons and coordinated with Valoran dreadnoughts to suppress enemy batteries. Explosions lit the void like distant stars dying. Amid the chaos, Lena led a strike team on a covert mission to infiltrate the weapons control facility beneath the planet's surface. The corridors were cold and dark, illuminated only by emergency, lights flickering sporadically. Inside, the enemy had left traps and automated defenses, but Lena's team advanced with precision. Each step brought them closer to the core, where the weapons activation sequence was underway. Suddenly, alarms blared. Enemy forces flooded the corridors, desperate to stop the intruders. A fierce firefight erupted, Lena's team fought side by side, every movement a test of skill and will. Despite heavy resistance, they pushed forward, determined to prevent the weapon's activation. At the core chamber, Lena faced the last defense, an advanced AI guardian programmed to protect the weapon at all costs. The AI's voice was cold, emotionless. "You cannot stop the future." Lena's voice was firm. "The future belongs to those who fight for it." Using a combination of hacking and brute force, Lena disabled the AI and began the shutdown sequence. The weapon's core powered down slowly, a low hum fading to silence. Above ground, the fleet gained the upper hand. The destruction of the weapon crippled the Obsidian Collective's morale. Their leaders, exposed and vulnerable, were captured or surrendered. Kalen led the charge that secured the command fortress, ending the war that had begun with such brutal treachery. The victory was hard-won and costly. The Alliance had lost many brave souls, but the unity forged in battle had carried them through. In the aftermath, leaders gathered to rebuild and heal. The Valorans vowed to restore their shattered world, their bond with humanity stronger than ever. Lena and Kalen stood side by side, looking out at the stars, a galaxy scarred but free. "The price was high," Lena said softly. "But so was the reward," Kalen replied. "Peace and the promise of a future we build together." The story of the Valorans and humanity was no longer just one of loss and retaliation. It was a testament to resilience, friendship, and hope. The silent storm had passed, and from its ashes, a new dawn had risen.